The number one communication secret for leaders is this: you have to translate between your team and your boss. And there's a big mistake too many leaders make that holds their careers back. So today, I'm going to tell you exactly what that mistake is, and more importantly, how you can avoid it. Translating between your team and your boss is the key leadership communication role. So much leadership advice focuses on leading down. You're the boss, here's how you lead your team. But the truth is, in 99% of leadership roles, you have a boss too. And it's not just about communicating down to your team, but also about communicating up to your boss and translating between the two. Your job is to tell your boss what your team thinks and tell your team what your boss thinks. You have to speak both languages. But here's where lots of leaders make a big mistake. They focus too much on one side of the equation, and it's usually representing your team's perspective to your boss. Now, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely crucial to advocate for your team. Make sure their concerns and ideas are heard, and provide your boss with an accurate picture of what's happening on the ground. But if you only focus on this side of the communication equation, you're going to look like you only understand the team perspective and you're not out there driving corporate goals and priorities. You're going to look like the person resisting the business intent, not delivering it. And that is not good for your career growth. You see, you need both your team and your boss to think you're a great leader for your career to develop. And what separates great leaders from good managers is the ability to help shape the organization's goals and priorities and then align your team's action to those corporate goals and priorities, even when they're going to be challenging for your team. So look, there are easy situations and hard ones. The easy one is where you go into the management meeting and say, my team thinks we should do X, Y, Z, and the management group agrees, so you take that back to your team and off you go. Everyone's happy, it's easy. The hard one is where you say, my team thinks we should do X, Y, Z, and the management meeting decides, well, sorry, but we need to do A, B, C instead. That's when you have a career-defining leadership challenge. What your team needs to see is that you understand how they feel about what's going on in the business, that you've asked for their ideas and you've taken those ideas to management. What your boss needs to see is that you can take whatever management decides, turn it into actionable steps for your team, and then deliver against those steps. So you're constantly moving between team and corporate, talking in both directions. And when you do this effectively, you're not just the leader of your team, you become a leader in the organization. When you help your team see the bigger picture, understand the reasons behind decisions, and buy into the organization's direction, you're demonstrating that you understand the business, you're aligned with the strategy, and that you can drive the changes necessary to meet corporate goals. Like I said earlier, the big mistake lots of leaders make is focusing too much on the team perspective and not enough on the corporate perspective. So let's think about some practical steps you can take to avoid this mistake. Step 1, really understand the corporate perspective. To do this, take the time to listen in meetings, ask questions when you're unsure, and seek out information about the company's strategy. What are the key objectives for the quarter or the year? What are the biggest challenges the organization's facing? What changes are on the horizon? Constantly try to put yourself in your boss's shoes and understand how they see things. Number 2, translate corporate goals into team actions. Whenever you're setting priorities and targets with your team, make a point to connect them with the corporate intent over and over again. It's not enough to just dish out orders. You need to explain the why behind what you're asking people to do. Help your team see how their work contributes to the overall success of the organization. So if your company is focusing on improving satisfaction for this quarter, how does that translate into your team's daily activities? Could be refining your customer service processes, implementing new training, or setting higher standards for response times. Whatever it is, make sure your team understands how their efforts connect to the bigger picture. And look, this is especially true if what you're asking people to do wouldn't be their first choice. If you're telling your team to focus on customer satisfaction when they think they should be putting most of their energy into marketing, it becomes more important for you to repeatedly let them know that you understand where they're coming from, you took their ideas to management, but there are other factors in play and management set a different priority. And then step 3, let your boss know you're doing this. You have to close the loop. Let your boss know that you picked up the corporate intent and you've brought it to your team with clarity and energy and purpose. especially when your team wanted one thing and management decided something else. Yet they're still talking about XYZ, but we are delivering A, B, and C for you. Remember, your role as a leader isn't just about managing your team. It's about being the crucial link between your team and the rest of the organization. The number one communication secret for leaders is you have to translate between your team and your boss. Don't make the mistake of only putting forward your team's point of view. You have to understand the wider corporate intent, explain it to your team, and set work for them that will deliver that intent, even if the work wouldn't be your team's first choice. Get this right, and you'll be a better leader and set yourself up for fast career growth. Thanks for watching today. Grab your free leadership upgrade pack at benkosh.com. Hit subscribe for more videos about leadership and watch this one next.